All right, let's dig into the world of food trucks, especially what it takes to get one up and running right here in Florida in 2025. Think of this as your crash course to figure out if your food truck dream is actually, financially doable. We've had some great info from sources like the Florida Restaurant and Lodging Association, and even some insights from Square to help us break it all down.
They can be
It
delicious.
really is, isn't it? Let's start with the big one, the truck itself. And that first big decision, new or used?
Exactly. A brand new food truck, all customized and ready to go, could cost you, well, anywhere from $125,000 to $200,000. Pretty big range, right?
Yeah, I mean, a truck is a truck.
Not exactly. It all depends. Are you thinking compact for like tight urban spaces, or maybe something larger with more room for equipment? Do you need special features
Yeah.
like a smoker or a pizza oven? All of that affects the price.
So it's kind of like building a house. The more you add, the more expensive it gets. What about going for a pre-owned truck? Is that a smarter option?
It could be, especially if you're, watching your budget. A used truck can run you anywhere from $40,000 to $80,000. But remember, you're not just buying a vehicle, you're investing in a business. So reliability is super important.
How do you weigh the risks and benefits of used versus new?
I think of it this way. A brand new truck, well, it gives you peace of mind. It's probably not going to break down and leave you hanging, especially with a truck full of hungry customers. But a used truck, that could be a great deal. If you do your homework, get a good inspection from a mechanic, someone who specializes in food trucks. Look for one that's been well maintained.
So it's a bit of a gamble, but a calculated one. Speaking of investments, what about all the essential equipment you need? The stuff that makes the magic happen.
Right. This is where it gets interesting. You got your basics, of course, grills and griddles. They can range from a few $100 to a few thousand, depending on the size and what features you need. Then there's fryers, ovens, and of course, refrigeration. Got to keep everything fresh. Those prices, well, they can really vary based on the size and quality you're going for.
I bet a lot of people forget about all the safety and sanitation equipment. Not so exciting, but equally important, right?
Absolutely. And it's not just about passing inspections. It's about building trust with your customers, making sure everyone is safe. We're talking commercial-grade sinks, hand-washing stations, fire suppression systems. All that adds up.
Protecting everyone, staff, customers, your reputation. Okay, so you've got your wheels, your kitchen set up. Now let's talk about, well, the less glamorous part, licenses and permits.
Yeah, the paperwork. Here in Florida, we've got a few hoops to jump through.
Ah.
First up, you'll need a state business license. That'll cost you somewhere between $87.50 and $160.
Is that all?
Not even close. You'll also need the mobile food dispensing vehicle license. That has a $50 application fee, plus either $178 for a half-year license or $347 for a full year. And we're just getting started.
Wow, it sounds a little overwhelming. Why so much red tape?
Well, Florida's food scene is really booming right now. These regulations just make sure everyone's operating safely and responsibly, protecting consumers, creating a fair playing field for everyone. Plus, you don't want to cut corners when it comes to food safety.
Absolutely not. Okay, next up, insurance. Another essential but not so thrilling part of starting a business, right?
Definitely. But it's crucial to protect your investment. General liability insurance is a must. That's usually around $1,000 per year.
I'm assuming there are other types of coverage you might need.
Yeah, depending on your situation, you might want to consider comprehensive insurance for the truck itself, contents insurance to cover your equipment, and of course, workers' comp if you have employees.
So what exactly are we insuring against? What are the risks for a food truck owner?
Well, think about it. You're basically running a mobile restaurant, so there's the risk of an accident. Damaging your truck, maybe someone else's property. Foodborne illness is always a concern, no matter how careful you are. And then there's employee injuries. Insurance can really help if something unexpected happens.
It's about peace of mind, knowing you're covered. Okay, let's talk about the fun stuff. Stocking up on ingredients and all the supplies.
Yeah, this is where your menu comes in. Those initial inventory costs can vary a lot, but you're probably looking at between $1,000 and $2,500 to get started. Then there's serveware, plates, utensils, napkins. That's going to be around $300.
Any tips on keeping those inventory costs down without, sacrificing quality?
Definitely. Start small, focus on a streamlined menu. You don't have to offer everything right away. Get creative with seasonal ingredients. Try building relationships with local suppliers. They might be able to give you some better prices.
Okay, so we've got the truck, the equipment, licenses, insurance, inventory. Anything else we need before we hit the road?
Ah, yes. One more Florida-specific thing. Commissaries.
Right. Florida requires food trucks to operate with a commissary kitchen. Can you explain that?
Sure. Commissary kitchen is like a shared commercial kitchen space. Food trucks use them for food prep, storage, cleaning, like a home base.
And how much does renting space in a commissary usually cost?
It depends on the facility and what they offer. You're looking at somewhere between $200 to $1,200 per month. Some places offer extra perks, waste disposal, access to special equipment you might not have, even networking opportunities with other food entrepreneurs.
So it's more than just a legal requirement. It can actually be a helpful resource.
Absolutely. Commissaries can offer a supportive community and a lot of knowledge, especially if you're just starting out.
Okay, so you've got the truck, the permits, your commissary. Are you ready to go?
Almost. We got to think about keeping that engine running. Fuel and maintenance. And don't forget about marketing. We'll dive into all of that in part 2 of our deep dive. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Last time we covered the initial investments to get your food truck dream off the ground. Now let's talk about keeping those wheels turning and the costs that come with it.
Exactly. It's one thing to get started, but another to keep it all running smoothly.
Let's talk about fuel and maintenance. Fuel costs can be unpredictable. What's a realistic estimate for someone running a food truck?
You're probably looking at around $500 to $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
And that's being conservative. Obviously, depends how much you're driving
Yeah.
and how fuel efficient your truck is.
Wow, that's a lot. Any tips on keeping fuel costs down? Besides just like parking in one spot.
Well, planning your route strategically. You don't want to be driving all over town wasting fuel. Think about where you're going. Event schedules, traffic.
Mm,
A little planning can save you a lot of money.
makes sense. What about maintenance? Any advice there?
Preventative care. Just like you, your truck needs regular checkups. Oil changes, tire rotations, engine checks. That can prevent much bigger problems. And don't forget about your kitchen equipment. Keeping that running smoothly is super important.
Yeah, a broken fryer in the middle of lunch would be a
Yeah,
nightmare.
exactly. Okay, let's move on to something a little more exciting. Marketing.
Yes, let's talk about spreading the word, getting those customers. But marketing can get expensive too, right?
It can, but it doesn't have to. Social media is your friend here. It's a great way to connect with people, show off your menu, tell everyone where you are. It's powerful and pretty cost-effective.
It seems like every business is on social media now. How can a food truck stand out?
That's the challenge, right? That's where creativity comes in. You got to
Right.
figure out what makes your truck unique and play it up. Maybe you have a cool theme, special ingredients, a connection to the community. Find your story and tell it.
So it's not just posting food pics, it's about building your brand.
Right. Now, some people still use flyers or print ads. What do you think about those?
I still see flyers around. Do they work?
They can, but again, be strategic. Think about where your target audience is. Local papers, community events, partner with businesses in high-traffic areas.
It's like a treasure hunt for customers.
You got it. Now let's talk about something else really important. Location.
Location, location, location. The real estate mantra. But it applies to food trucks too.
Absolutely. You need to be where the people are, but you also need to think about local regulations. Permits. Some areas are more food truck friendly than others.
So how do you find those perfect spots?
Networking is always good. Talk to other food truck owners, event organizers, look for popular food truck areas, and don't underestimate the power of just driving around and scouting things out.
Research, relationships, and some street smarts. Once you've got that perfect location, how do you attract those customers?
Visibility is key. Think of your truck as a big billboard. A bright, colorful banner or menu will draw people in. Clear signage is essential. People need to know what you're selling and what makes you special.
I've seen some trucks using music. What do you think about that?
Music can be great. Create a fun atmosphere, set the mood. Just be mindful of your surroundings. Respect any noise rules.
Good point. So we've talked about marketing, location, fuel, maintenance. What about staffing? Do you need a whole crew to run a food truck?
It depends on your menu and how complex things are. Some trucks are one-person operations. Others need cooks, cashiers, runners.
If you are hiring, what are some important things to look for?
Reliability is huge. You need people you can depend on, especially in a fast-paced environment. Look for people who are efficient, can multitask, and really important, love customer service. Even when things are crazy, keeping a positive attitude is essential.
It's true. Good food and friendly service are the perfect recipe. Okay, let's not forget about the food itself.
Right, you can have the base truck,
Yeah.
the best location, amazing marketing. But if the food's not good, people won't come back.
So how do you create a menu that's both creative and profitable?
Start with what you love. What kind of food are you passionate about? What are you good at making? Do you have any signature dishes? What unique flavors can you offer? But don't forget to do your research. What are the food trends? What are other food trucks doing?
Find that sweet spot between what you love and what people want.
Exactly. And experiment. Try new things. Remember, presentation is important too. Even simple food can look amazing with a little effort.
It's about creating a visual experience. Okay, we've talked about the creative side. What about the money side? How do you make sure your menu is profitable?
You need to really look at your costs. Factor in ingredients, labor, your overhead, and your profit margin. Pricing your menu right can be tricky.
I bet. You want to be competitive, but you also need to make money. Speaking of money matters, let's talk about the not so fun part, the paperwork.
Yeah, every business has to deal with it. We talked about licenses and permits, but there are other ongoing requirements too.
Like what?
Well, taxes are a big one, federal and state. You need accurate records. And make sure you're following all those health and safety regulations.
Sounds like a lot. Any resources to help with all of this?
Of course. The Small Business Administration, they have workshops, counseling, even funding. And the Florida Restaurant and Lodging Association, they can help specifically with food businesses in Florida.
So you don't have to do everything yourself. Okay, we've talked about a lot of the nuts and bolts, but why do people choose this path? What are the rewards?
It's not for everyone. It takes a lot of hard work. But the rewards can be amazing. You're your own boss. You can be creative. You get to see people enjoying your food. You connect with the community.
Sounds like a unique experience, but let's be real. What kind of profits can you expect?
That's a tough question. It depends on so many things. Your menu, your prices, your location, your costs, the demand.
No magic formula?
No. But some experts think food trucks can have profit margins of 10% to 20%, which is pretty good. But you have to work for it.
So not a get-rich-quick scheme, but it can be a recipe for success.
Exactly. And it's really satisfying to build a business from scratch and share your food with the world.
Okay, before we wrap up this part, any final advice?
Do your research. Talk to other food truck owners. Have a good business plan. And don't give up.
Great advice. Stay tuned for part 3. We'll be exploring some unexpected challenges and opportunities. Welcome back, everyone. We've talked about a lot so far. The initial investment, running the business day to day, creating your menu, marketing. But like any new business, there are always some surprises.
Oh, yeah. Running a food truck in Florida isn't just sunshine and beaches. There are definitely some unique challenges.
Okay, like what?
Well, the weather, for one. Florida's known for its, crazy storms. And those hot summer days can really affect business.
Yeah, a sudden downpour wouldn't be fun, especially if most of your seating is outside.
Exactly. So you always need a backup plan, a good canopy or tent to keep your customers dry. And for those hot days, make sure you've got good ventilation and cooling.
Be prepared, right? What other challenges are there?
Competition is tough,
Yeah.
especially in the tourist areas. You really have to stand out.
We talked about marketing. Are there any tactics that work really well in Florida?
Collaborations can be great. Team up with other food trucks, create some themed events or rallies, cross-promote on social media. That way you reach more people.
Strength in numbers. Okay, so we talked about the challenges. What about the opportunities?
Well, Florida has an amazing food culture. Lots of different people. So there's a demand for all kinds of food. You don't have to stick to burgers and fries.
So there's room to get creative.
Definitely. You could do Cuban sandwiches, Caribbean food.
That's what's so great about food. It's a mix of everything. What about tourism? Florida's a big
Not too expensive. A good way to taste the local flavors.
so set up shop near the tourist spots.
Exactly. Think theme parks, beaches, museums, even airports. Places where people are hungry and want something quick.
Makes sense. You mentioned having a good business plan before. What should be in it?
First, a clear concept. What kind of food? Who are your customers? What makes you different?
Like figuring out your food personality.
Exactly. Then you need to do the math. We talked about all the costs. So make a realistic budget. Figure out your financials.
So you can stay on track.
Right. And don't forget the marketing plan. How are you to reach those customers?
We talked about social media, collaborations, location.
And one more thing. Build relationships. Make the experience memorable. Offer loyalty programs. Host events. Just talk to your
Okay.
customers.
Make it feel like a community.
Exactly. Word of mouth is really powerful.
Okay, I think we've covered just about everything. What's the most important thing you want people to remember?
Starting a food truck in Florida is hard work, but it's also really rewarding. You need passion, resilience, and you got to be able to adapt.
It's not easy. But if you have the dream and the drive, it can be amazing.
Absolutely. And remember, this is just the start. There's always more to learn.
Keep learning, keep trying new things, keep those wheels turning.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Florida food truck scene.
And good luck with your food truck dreams.